Well, thank you for having me today, guys. I was telling Coach just a minute ago, I would like this to be very interactive. If you have questions or I speak too fast on something or it doesn't make sense, please, just chime in and shout your question out. My goal is hopefully everybody gets something useful from this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen. Rather by flipping here. So everyone should be able to see my computer screen, I hope. And then, okay, great. So we'll get started. We're talking about quarterback fundamentals. Really, my belief with the quarterback is almost everything that we talk about as a staff is either about their feet or their brain. At the college level at this point for us, I think it's very dangerous to mess with the guy's throwing motion. I mean, we have the luxury of recruiting a good passer. So the idea of trying to change where the release point is or adjust his shoulder angle is, you have to be very, very careful. So most of what I'll talk about today is about our footwork and making decisions. We had a lot of success last year. We went 10-0 in the regular season. Won the Northern California Championship. This is junior college football. Finished the country finished number 2 in the nation. We had All-American or All-State players at every position. Since we are a junior college, our guys go on to play at the 4-year level. We had a Division I quarterback, Division I running back, 3 Division I receivers, a D1 tight end, and one of our 3 offensive lineman was Division I as well. The rest of the guys are coming back. So we had a very talented team. And I think that's important to realize that a lot of the reason we had success is because we had really good players. And it comes down to fundamentals and teaching those guys how to do what we're asking them to rather than having, the secret scheme. There's not really a secret. Schematically, it's more about the culture and the fundamentals. So talking about quarterbacks today, number one, the quarterback has to be a leader, whether he's a captain or not, whether he wants to be or not. Everything he does, the team's going to do. So we ask our guys to lead within their personality. Don't try to be somebody else. We talk about being an overachiever. If you're asked to do 8 reps, do 9 reps. If the goal is to run, 100 yards, run 105. And then we want, ultimately make the players around you better. And we want to be steady emotionally. Never too excited when things are good, never too down when things are bad. Ultimately, there's a lot of stuff they won't be able to control, but their effort, attitude, toughness, EAT, that's the acronym we use, EAT. Those are choices. And we want our players to make the right choice with their effort, attitude, and toughness every day, regardless of whether we're ahead by 40 or down by 40. We're going to play the same way. So let's dive right into the quarterback fundamentals, the technique stuff. So we do talk a little bit about mechanics. I'll show you our only drill that we talk about with our upper body here in a second. We start with a warm-up every day. This is drill tape from a year ago. We're going to take we call it a quick step down the line. And all we're doing here is I'm looking for level shoulders. You can see my screen. Level shoulders with our eyes downfield. And we're just taking the second 2 steps of our drop. We call them quick steps over and over and over again. We want to be on a line of some kind so we're not drifting one way or the other. And then we just set to throw nice and balanced. We should be relaxed. We call it soft knees, eyes forward with level shoulders. I would like the ball a little bit higher. That's pretty good on that in that picture there. This was our backup. He went to University of Cincinnati. That's a pretty good finishing point. Again, soft knees, shoulders are level, our eyes are downfield, and we're breaking like we're ready to throw. We talk to these guys when we take this drill. Every time his right foot here comes down, every time that comes down, we should be ready to throw the ball. So if we feel like we have to hitch or reset after the drop, that means we're leaning back too far. If we feel like we have to sink our hips, we're leaning too far forward. So we should be thinking anytime he gets that call ball, right there. That should be the next time that right foot hits, we're ready to throw. Just a basic warm-up drill every day. It can get monotonous. It's really important for us as coaches to emphasize the details so we don't just go through the motions. Now, this is my favorite drill for mechanics. Okay? We call it jog, flip, toss. And we're basically playing catch. And it's easier to show it than to read it to you. So we start 10 yards apart. And he's going to jog away from where he's going. And when they call for the ball, we're going to flip our hips and throw the ball. And what we're looking for here, I'm going to try to run this in slow motion. We're looking for that picture right there. Okay, where our weight's on the inside of our foot. We've got those soft knees. Okay, elbows are equal and opposite. This is the only time I'll ever talk to the quarterback about where he is mechanically. But what we're looking for in the follow through here is that full extension. I believe everybody throws a little bit different. As long as we finish with our arm fully extended, that's not even quite a perfect picture here. Let me see. Right there. If we finish like that, that ball is going to come out where it's supposed to go. Other coaching points on this drill, we want the shoulder and this back ankle, the inside of his back ankle, that little bone that sticks out, that should be going towards his target. And then we're just unwinding with full extension. Here's another clip of Luke throwing it here. First, we turn to our left, then we're going to turn to our right. This one's harder just because it takes a lot more athleticism to flip our hips, but we want to end in that same picture that we had before. This is really good body control, level shoulders. Our elbows are equal and opposite. Soft knees. And you see again, as we go through, full arm extension. That's kind of the picture we're looking for. So the full speed drill looks like this. He's jogging, ball, flip, throw. We've got maybe one more here. Flip, throw. That's a really good picture for what we're looking for. When we talk about him building power, a big source of his power comes from these hips here. And that's why his footwork is so important. You can see we want the hip going first when we open. What that means is we go from here where we're balanced. The first thing to turn right here, his hip is open, but his shoulder is not. That's really good. And the more difference between these two, the more powerful the throw. So if he can hold this shoulder as long as he can at his target, as that thing uncoils, that ball is going to come out with a lot of velocity. He was pretty good. He was the Northern California Player of the Year last year. So with Luke here, to be honest with you, I didn't change very much. A lot of his mechanics were already pretty developed. But this drill keeps us focused on that and keeps us focused on finding that spot right there where the weight's on the inside, soft knees. We call that whole position loaded, meaning we are loaded to throw when we look like that. So does anyone have any questions so far on jog, flip, toss?
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Yes, absolutely.
Can you go back to the first clip?
Yep.
So stop right there. So you said you emphasize footwork in all you do, and this is a warm-up drill. Mm-hmm. Anyways, how much would you emphasize him to keep a broader base in his turn, because his heels are pretty much clicking, you know?
Yeah, so this is probably the only one where it's not as important because we're turning a full 180 degrees. So the emphasis for this drill really is getting to this picture at the end rather than to be honest with you, if we're making this turn to throw the ball in a game, we're already in big trouble. So we don't talk about the feet as much in this picture. And this is really the only drill where it's upper body focused. So I don't worry about that nearly as much as we talk about basically from here. where we go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
That's a good question. Other questions?
Not in the chat box, Coach.
Okay, let's go. So we call this next one machine gun drill. And honestly, I don't know why it's called machine gun. It's not fast. But I got this from Stanford when I was helping out with some of their camps. So what we do, and this is Coach Scholl, this is a great example of working on exactly what we just talked about. Now we are working on making sure we keep a wide base here. What we're asking the quarterback to do, we're going to start on a line, and I'm going to give him a direction, and he's going to just creep. Okay, back foot first, 6 inches at a time to the direction that we give him. And what I'm looking for here, number one, is we always lead with our back foot. And number two, we keep that nice balanced base with our shoulder downfield and our eyes on me here as a coach. So this is working that wide base. And then with everything we do, we want to make sure we lead with our back foot. You see here, if we picture we're in the pocket and there's some pressure here, this first step means when this comes down, I can plant off that foot and throw. Where if I led with this foot, my left foot, if I made that step, it'd be 1, 2 step and throw. So in general, when we move in the pocket, we want these guys leading with their right foot if they're right-handed, their left foot if they're left-handed, their back foot. Well, this actually burns their legs pretty good too. You can get them. It's good kind of slow conditioning for these guys too. You can watch with Jack. Big point of emphasis. That's not a good step right here. We should be set when this foot comes down. We should be coming back this way with this back foot. Instead, we lead with our front. Then he fixes it. Now that's better. Questions on machine gun? This is another good. This is a drill, especially for the off season, just to stay fresh in the fact that everything we do, our back foot goes first.
So sorry, it's me again. You see this guy planting his whole foot, and I always tell my quarterbacks, when you move the pocket, when you work the pocket, make sure you like work on the upper 2/3 of your foot in order to be more explosive in your movements. Does that make sense? Or
it does, yeah. For us, for what we ask our guy to do, I like his whole foot in the ground to help him with his throws. That said, so I think we end up kind of coaching the same thing. We want to be explosive and loose. So the way I kind of emphasize that is with the soft knees, meaning we're relaxed and ready to move athletically, because obviously you are going to move faster than we are in the drill. From our guys having the whole foot in the ground with the weight on the inside of the back foot, that's helped us with our throwing mechanics a little bit more. I found when we're on our toes, we're a little bit less consistent with where the ball goes. But there's definitely a lot of ways to do it, and I think part of our job as coaches is find what works for your guys, and help them do what's natural for them. Good question. Any other questions?
Not yet, Coach.
Okay, great. Let's keep going here. Okay, rapid fire drill. So how many of you guys work in the shotgun? Like most of the time? Most people, some, not at all.
We do in shotgun only.
Okay, so do I. Which it's great. There's a lot of benefits to that in the run game. So what we do to kind of emphasize getting the ball out quickly, we have to work almost every day on throwing without the laces. A lot of our offense is based on either quick perimeter screens or quick game, where since we are 5 yards in depth already, by the time that ball is in our hand, we should be ready to throw it. So we call this rapid fire drill. And all we're doing here, we've got a receiver standing out over here at 5 yards. And all we're doing is catch, set our hips, and throw the ball as fast as we can. Big point of emphasis is throwing without the laces. He actually got him there. He got him twice in a row. Unbelievable. Let me see if I got a clip of him not hitting laces. First one, maybe. Okay, there's a good picture, right? The emphasis for us is find the comfortable point of the ball without having to flip it and look for laces, because we want to get that thing out as fast as we can to chip. It's either a pre-snap RPO, meaning we've got a free access hitch that we just want to take, or it's a quick game concept where our first look is open already. So we'll run this 3 or 4 balls to the right, 3 or 4 to the left, and then we switch. For a right-handed guy, throwing to the right is usually harder. So that's the one we start with. We want to get that caught, flip our hips, and rip it as fast as we can. In the beginning, you get the ball sprayed quite a bit, but because we emphasize this a whole bunch, we get some freebies here like this. That's the drill in action. And it's literally, that's exactly the scenario we're talking about, where we've got a free one. And there's nobody here that can play this hitch. He's at 8 yards in the pedal demeanor. We're going to flip and throw it right now. If we were slow, this guy might have a chance at it. If we took false steps or we had to find the laces. But because we're quick, we're on target there. Here, that's a good view from the back here too, actually. What we're looking for from his feet, no wasted movement. You see, for us, we don't coach that punch step in anything free. So because it's a free access throw, our first movement's with our left foot, getting our base set, and we're ripping it. Here's another one. This is a quick game concept. So we're throwing this out here. This is about as fast as he can be. If he's any slower at all, this ball's going the other way. This is our backup. But that's the difference. I mean, you can see that's about an 8-inch difference between a completed ball on 3rd and 6. That ends up being quite a significant gain, and an interception going the other way. So it's very, very, it goes back to the fundamentals. Very, very important that we don't waste any movement at all back here. No left foot movement, right? We're just pivot, throw. It's a little bit tougher to see from this angle, but that's where we want to be. Questions on the rapid fire drill?
No, coach.
All right, good. This is one, especially if you operate out of the gun all the time. I would do that every day. And that's what we do. So I'm going to pause real quick here and flip the camera back to me. So one of the things, we kind of operate in 2 worlds. Those are like basic mechanic, like everyday, always relevant drills. And then what we'll do is we'll take a drops progression where we take every drop that we can based on the route concepts we're running. That usually takes us 5 or 10 minutes. From there, most of our drills, most of our time is actually spent on when things aren't perfect. So we're going to go through this part quick, perfect drops, just to show how we want footwork in an ideal world. I think there is some research done in the NFL probably 6 years ago now. Over 75% of the throws were affected in some way, meaning there's pressure, quarterback had to move off his point. So we want to practice that. So this part I'll go quickly and then get into the practicing, maybe a little bit more realistic look where we're throwing from an imperfect base or we have to adjust. So here we are, perfect drops. We're just going to, as I kind of said here, we got our quick things we do with quick game drop. We actually have 2 quick game drops where we'll rock and throw like you saw, and we will punch set. where if these are the quarterback's feet pre-snap, it's going to be left, right to plant and throw. That's for a little bit longer quick game. If we're throwing like a slot fade or a whip route. Otherwise, we are just right foot plant, throw, right foot plant, throw. And then from the gun for us, we have our 3-step drop, 3 and a hitch, 3 and 2 hitches. I think it's important as we go through with your quarterbacks that you take a look at what's the guy doing well. Someone asked a question like, you want your guy kind of a little bit higher on his toes. If he's like that and that helps him, he's probably going to need more things to do with his feet, because we tie everything in our read progression to our drop. So if it's a guy that's happy-footed, wants to take a drop, you can give him, the option in these 3 steps to take that punch step with his left foot first and then go 1, 2, 3 from there. That can help a guy who wants to move his feet. For the guy I had last year, he was very calm-footed. So almost everything we did was either a very small step here or just a true right, left, right 3-step drop. So keep in mind, I think a lot of our job as quarterback coaches and as play callers is to give these guys tools and then let them pick the tools that work best for them. So here's just a couple of looks at our drops. This is just, you can do this with or without a receiver. If you don't have receivers with you during individual time, you put a coach out here, you put a backup quarterback out here, and we're just working set, throw, just like it's quick game, one at a time. We'll go both directions. And then as you build, you start with one guy, then you get a progression. For us, I think this is our stick concept. Yeah, so he's looking, that's his first read to his second read. We're throwing the first read. Just looking at his feet here, right? No wasted movement. We plant, throw, we're nice and balanced. That weight distribution's good. Our knees are soft. We have equal opposites, and the ball's on target. And then here it is. It's nice for these guys. We use the same tape to teach our quarterbacks the drills. As much as you can when you're teaching your guys, work your game tape into it and show them this will help them be successful. That's the same picture as you saw Luke do in the first clip. And it's just cheap and easy yards from the gun. You're going to have to throw and connect. For us, these quick game hitches is essentially a running play where no one has to block. They're going to leave space up there. We're going to take it and make them cover us tight so we can go over the top. Here's another one. This is with our backup quarterback. But same picture. He's pretty good too. Set, throw. And that's quick game. This concept here, going back to we make him play us tight. He's got a hitch fade read. He's going to hitch at 6 or he's going to take it vertical. With press, we felt like we liked this matchup. So we checked the play. Set, throw. And it just repping that footwork pattern over and over again. He should have caught it, but that's the picture that we want. Okay, and here we're working our drops. Okay, 3-step. For us, we call this a true 3, meaning he's not taking any extra punch step. You see that left foot move a little bit. I'd love to get rid of that. But there's no true step there. 1, 2, 3. We're landing with that back foot nice and loaded. Equal opposites. Ball on time. We use this for our first read in most of our pass game. It's a whole nother talk. But everything in your progressions for your drop back game should be tied to your feet. So for us, I think this is a front side post. Yep. So we're in a post. The whole concept is a post here, and then we're hitching to a dig, and then our second hitch is to a shallow route underneath it. So on his third step, 1, 2, 3, he's deciding I'm either going for it on the post or I'm going to hitch and move my eyes to that dig. I think that helps these guys protect themselves with their footwork a little bit, meaning I'm not waiting on a receiver when the game's on. If that third foot hits and it's not open, you got to move on. Here's a look, I think, at a hitch here. Yep. Okay, and then we do the same thing. We progress and we work it. We call this pass skelly. We're just running our routes on air. You can run this with 2 quarterbacks, practice moving our eyes and feet. Okay, and we read this, guys. We read this inside out. So you watch the guy on the right here. 1, 2, 3. When that third foot comes down, he's saying, this dude's open, I'm staying with it. Okay, so that ball's out in his third. If you look at the quarterback on the left, 1, 2, 3, he's simulating this guy's not open. I'm going to hitch and move my eyes back out here. And that helps us twofold. One, it's kind of a built-in check to keep him on time. And 2, this is a lot further throw, so that hitch helps us get a little more pop on the ball. And let's see it in game speed. I think this is a very similar concept. We're on that same concept, right? So it's curl, vert, reads. So if it's the straight call, it looks like this. What I think we have on here is switch. So these two are switching their assignments. And now it's a curl, vert, read here and a curl, vert, read here. And the same thing up top. We're going to throw this ball up top, I believe, to these two. Yep, there they switch. And on that hitch, he's coming back to the inside. 1, 2, 3, not there, hitch. Ball's got to go. I think the tight view is pretty good, looking at his feet. This is week 1. We did a better job later on of getting rid of this false step here that he takes. He doesn't need it. We got better as the year went on of getting rid of that. But the feet help him with his timing for sure. Here it is again, coming back down now to the left. I think we ran this concept like 6 times in this game, and it went quite well for us. That's why I say we had pretty good players. Play call got him to the 10. He took it the rest of the way. Maybe one or two more looks here. 1, 2, 3, hitch, throw. This is a great example. Okay, so for us, we're reading this low to high. So he doesn't like this. He wants to play this for the touchdown. So he's 3 and a hitch to the corner. Okay, when that hitch happens, that ball's got to go. If he waits at all, I mean, he's going to take it. He takes the shot anyway. He waits at all, though. The ball doesn't end up there. Yeah, you got to have some courage playing quarterback. That's a fun picture. I like that. Look at the tight here. Even when the drop is perfect, you're still going to get hit more often than not. So that kind of comes back to our next series of drills. Anyone have any questions on those? Our drop
yes,
back.
coach.
Yes.
You talked about the study they made in the NFL that 70% of the quarterback plays are hurried or in any kind of interrupted. How do you implement this knowledge into your practice planning, for example, into the different drills or one-on-one skelly periods? Because what I'm seeing at the moment is that on a lot of one-on-one or skelly periods, the quarterback is standing there without any pressure. And how do you organize that?
That's a great question. So that's the next part of the presentation here. We do kind of what we showed you there. That's probably 20% of our time. The other 80 is where we're affecting the quarterback in some way. So I do believe, especially early, you have to give him something clean, where it's just, hey, take 3 steps and throw it there. Take 3 steps in a hitch and throw it to your second read. And then I can kind of skip ahead here. As we work forward, this is double moves, but that's kind of in the same vein. Got a lot of double moves, so we're good. That's a good question. Let me get you into the affected movement drills. Yep. So once we get them on the move, this is where we're asking these guys to throw when they're changing, and changing directions, changing their drop. That's where we spend most of our time. And then when, I don't think I have it on tape here, but when we're in 7-on-7 drills or even 1-on-1s, but especially 7-on-7, 7-on-7 is a drill I hate personally, because I think it creates all those bad habits you talked about, right? There's never any pressure. It's beautiful. So what we'll do is we'll take an agility bag, and I'll either throw it at him or put it up in his face and make him have to move to get a clean look. In my opinion, 7-on-7 is a receiver drill and a defensive back drill. Does that answer your question? So really, if you feel like, hey, he's got his basic footwork down, we need to work on adjusting. I got these movement drills coming up here, and then the big picture from there is going to be just anytime you do something across the ball and the quarterback's not getting hit is, well, affect him somehow. Affect him with a agility bag. Affect him with bean bags. We throw up bean bags at him here in a second. Yeah, we'll cover that. Good question.
Okay, yeah, that's great, Coach. So I really like the 80-20 rule. I think we don't do that at the moment.
Yeah, I was surprised by it, to be honest with you. I think, but then you watch an NFL game, and even in the pros where they've got awesome offensive linemen, that's probably the hardest position for us to be consistent with. Because one good D lineman can ruin your day really quick if you don't have a plan for him. So, even if those guys are getting affected that often, our guys certainly will be too. Other questions?
No, not at the moment.
All right, great. Let me flip this back over here, and we'll get back to it. Okay, so movement drills. Let me see which one this is here. Yeah, that's another perfect drop. Here we go. 4 bag drills. Oh, I see a question. 1 second.
Yeah, Coach. I can read it for you. The coach is asking for the throw mechanics. Do you have a drill to increase hip explosiveness or power?
Yeah. The short answer is, really emphasizing when you're going through any of your other drills, and some of it we'll just stand and throw. And if you can kind of stand up here and try to give an example, as much as you can when you're talking to him about his mechanics, is keeping this close. If I'm throwing straight ahead, and I'm going to keep that close as my hip opens. Not really a great picture. Let me see if I can turn that down. So this is closed, the hip opens. As you're taking that, the emphasis for us is keep this still as long as we can, and then we're letting it go late. The bigger difference between the shoulder and the front hip, the longer the throw is going to go. So 2 things is, one, when we're talking about what we do with our left hand, our offhand, we try to think about almost like you're punching through this ear. And you don't actually get the movement, but what it does is it forces him to stay here longer. And then we kind of finish him with this still on my left hand, is still on the right side of my face as I finish my throw, and then we relax. So that's how we do it from a mechanical standpoint, from a long-term standpoint, to build that strength. It's in the weight room. Power cleans, explosive jumps, hang cleans. That's where the actual strength comes from. And we've seen huge growth from our quarterbacks just getting into the weight room and getting stronger. If they have good mechanics, just by adding strength, those mechanics, it's exponentially grown. Our guy probably came in able to throw at 60 yards. I bet he can throw at 70, 75 now. And he hasn't changed mechanically. It's all weight room.
Do you work in the weight room with resistant bands for the quarterbacks?
Most time for most of what we do, we're doing exactly what everybody else in the team does, getting stronger, more explosive. we'll work bands as kind of a warm-up drill.
Mm-hmm.
Just especially if we've been throwing a lot. We'll work some of our shoulder stability with a very light band. You know, if it's hooked into the fence, we'll work both directions, work out and in. The vast majority of what they do is weights on the ground, off the ground. So same thing we're having our linebackers and our defensive line do, just with obviously appropriate weight for their size and ability level.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Great question.
Do you do some like dry runs? I only know it from a kicker or a punter perspective. They're doing a lot of dry runs with the resistant bands, or maybe when the shoulders hurt a little bit after a lot of throws.
Yeah, if they've got a lot of throws, I'd rather rest them. I'd rather have them rest and work. What scares me, like I know some guys will do, like, you know, they even got heavy balls, like where they're a little bit heavier than average. That really makes me nervous as far as putting strain on your elbow. Anytime you're doing something snapping fast, I want it to just be a football. And if that hurts, if we're sore, I'd rather get ice and get the day off than dry runs. I know my brother's a special teams guy, and he's really good with like kick volume and all that. And I think because that's such a powerful movement and there's a collision with the ball and the foot, I think you have to be a little bit more careful with kickers and punters than you do with the quarterback.
Okay. Yeah. Was that just something I was interested in, because I was reading some stuff about kickers and punters at the moment. So.
Yeah, that's great. No, I'll get you my brother's info later on. He'd be another good one. If you want to talk special teams, he's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Other questions?
No, the chat box is.
All right, great. I'll try to keep it moving here for you guys to get into some more game tape too. So for bag drill, I think everybody runs some version of this. All we're doing here is take our drop and then adjust and work like we're just in the pocket. Same coaching points. You know, you'll hear, hopefully our guys can all echo by the time we're done. Level shoulders, soft knees, back foot goes first. Back foot leads every time he changes directions. That back foot here, yep, that should be the one going first. So a couple of clips of that. We'll go both directions. Just simulating, hey, we're moving in the pocket, our eyes are downfield. Every time we go somewhere, our back foot takes us there. And then if your guys are feeling good, always finish with a throw. Always give them a chance to throw the football. Everybody likes doing that. So there we are. That's a really nice, smooth pocket adjustment. Just a little bit at the top. Just cheated a little. We started on the hash. Now we're just off the hash. And that's just, I think we're feeling a little bit of pressure on this backside. This kid was pretty good, 32. We cheat a little bit, give ourselves a chance to throw. It's a subtle movement, but because we're on time and because we're balanced, taking that movement, we're in pretty good shape. Let me see, we'll play this on this here. Yeah, again, this is our switch concept. We love this route. Going back to the solo side here. See him adjust just a touch at the top. A lot of these movements are very, very subtle. You see where we start and where we finish, right? Our right foot's on the hash. Drop, adjust across. You know, we've gained maybe a foot and a half, but it's given us this nice clean window. Luke here, this quarterback's only 5'10". So for him, it was always very important to get into a spot like this where he can see clear and throw. Those little pocket movement drills help him a lot. We'll do it on the run. Same thing. It's nice because this drill's already set up and you can get kind of two drills in one. Just working, getting our knees up, keeping our eyes downfield. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing earth-shattering, but the more you can make these guys throw on the run, the better. We run a lot of boot. And again, this is 4th and 2, 4th and 3. So hopefully that translates pretty well to the drill. He's running to his right, put the ball on him, give us a chance. We'll do the same thing here. It's a same play, different formation. But a lot of times these boot plays are very cheap and easy yards. You know, that's a 4-yard throw for a 10-yard completion. we'll take that every time. And then here, I think we're throwing on the run. Yeah, it's a sprint out. And hopefully it translates pretty directly. You can almost picture the bag sitting right here. Clear the bags, throw the ball. Helps us be on time. I've got 1,000 throw on the run clips here. We did that a lot. I think where this is a good one here, but that might be it. Yep. That was a good throw. I mean, you see, this is kind of another, this is one thing I'd take away. If you're looking for any like real solid takeaways, when you're on the run, you get your shoulder and your back ankle, just like we talked about jog, flip, toss, that drill. You can get those two pointed where you want the ball, you've got a really good chance, even if you end up off balance. That's kind of it's not a secret, but it's a very good tool to remind those quarterbacks, like, hey, if things are sideways, like they oftentimes are, you've got people in your face, you're running and playing the game, you get your back ankle and your front shoulder to the target, you're going to get some power on the ball and you'll be okay. Questions on the throwing on the movement, on the move?
No, coach.
One question, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, as you said, throwing on the run is stressful for the quarterback, and if it's not scripted, it's more like running for your life and throwing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But how much would you emphasize there's certain techniques and all the nuances of it, like keep the players from jumping and stuff like that, twist your shoulders, twist your hips?
Yeah, a lot. You know, I think anytime, you'll see it here in the next, it's not this drill, but maybe the next one, but anytime we do any sort of like escape movement, like a pocket drill where we're escaping or throw on the run drill, like we finish all of those with a throw. Because obviously we want to be clean in getting out of the pocket, and then as much as we can, just make them make the throw. And if we miss, like, okay, one of my best thing is when a guy makes a bad throw in practice, my first question to him is always, what happened? And I overthrew him. Like, of course, well, you overthrew him. Why? And if they can answer, like, oh, I dipped my back shoulder or my chin's way high. If they can give you that answer, you got a good chance. If they can't, then you got to go back and emphasize, right? Shoulder and ankle. So that's where most of my coaching goes in the throw on the run specifically. Like front shoulder, back ankle. That's going to give you a really good chance. And then we always want to overemphasize, especially to our right, overemphasize closing off, because everybody runs this way. And even though we think we're looking at our target, our shoulder is taking it behind us. We have to really turn and coil that shoulder and let it go. But if you can keep it to like a couple of coaching points for each scenario, 2, 3, maybe 4 things to think about as they're, like you said, running for their lives. Like, I'm running. He's open. I only want him thinking shoulder and ankle. If I get my shoulder and ankle, everything's going to work. That's how I want the quarterback to think. So that's kind of how I do it. I think it's helped. them. I've in the past overcoached it, where we talk about your shoulder and your ankle and make sure your hand's up here and make sure we follow through. And if you tell him everything all at once, none of it seems important. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So for us, if I was taking one thing away from throwing the run, front shoulder, back ankle. You got those two, we got a really good chance. And you can kind of tweak the other stuff, right? Like if he's always overthrowing the ball, I always talk about just bring your chin down, and that keeps him nice and level shouldered. High chin brings that front shoulder up, chin down, balls down. That, for example, like if a guy's got a problem, then you kind of coach that problem. But in general, it's ankle and shoulder. Good questions? Anything else?
Yeah, right.
That's a great question. All right, let's get back into some movement stuff. So wave drill, this is another really good one almost every day. I'm sure everybody runs some version. We just set up 4 cones to simulate a pocket. And then we're just moving in that pocket. Our back foot always leads. You see as he moves, he works based on my movement here. That back foot should be taking us everywhere we want to go. So we're ready to throw the football. A couple of reps here at it. And you can make this as long or short as you want. This is a pretty short rep. This is very game-like. Hitch, nope, not there. Back out, throw the ball. You can go 15 seconds with these guys too, and really it's almost conditioning work as well. That's really good. I'm going to go a little bit faster here. If you have questions, please stop me on these drills, but they're all similar. This one we call figure 8. We just move the cones in tighter. And now he's working around those cones. And really, well, all this stuff is doing is just giving us different ways to make these guys move their feet, keep a decent base, keep our shoulders level, soft knees. And when we finish, we always want to finish in the loaded position where that weight's on our back foot. I think it's right here. Weight through the back foot and shoulders are level. That's kind of the picture we're looking for from this. And you can make these as close or as far apart as you want them to be. Okay. Those two are really the ones we use to work being actually in the pocket. Getting the beanbags out is fun. Well, first off, we'll start with beanbags. We move to the beanbags, and this works on that. This is an escape move. Settle our feet, get back to where we're going to throw it, and then deliver the football. Najee running through it. And the idea here, we want to move as fast as we can to the bag and then settle. You see him do a pretty good job there. He bounces a little bit. We're going to get settled in, so we're able to get the ball back downfield like we've escaped. Someone's popping open on the backside and simulate making that throw. This is probably the best one, especially if you have receivers downfield. So what we're working on here is beanbag dodge. So this is just, they're working to avoid these bags like they're rushing players. So perfect world. You got coach throwing the beanbags, and you've got another guy 10 yards downfield putting his hands up and giving him a number, 1, 2, or 3. And he's working on seeing that number and calling it out as he's getting these guys thrown at him. This is fun. If quarterbacks ever irritate you too much, you just bring them to this drill, throw bags at him for a bit. You'll notice here, I throw some that don't affect him. We don't want him to move if it's not going to hit him. So like this one here, that's a good pocket movement. This next one there, that's coming over this way. That's like a 3 technique getting washed up the field. We don't need to adjust based on that unless it's going to hit us. We got to make that decision. Doesn't matter. He does a better job with the last throw. That's out there. That doesn't, something going on over here doesn't affect you. You've got your pocket. You're clean. You can work your footwork, step up and throw the ball. That's kind of, this is a look at like that first beanbag pocket drill. All right, something comes down, oh shoot, get out. Get our eyes downfield. Hopefully you can get a good look at his on the run mechanics too. Closed off, can't really see his back foot there, but we get the ball where it's supposed to go. Same thing. Oh, beanbag's out. Work to the beanbag. Get your shoulders downhill. Give him a chance. This was a game against Laney. This was last chance you. I think this was on a third and 12. This is a big one for us. Hanging in there. You kind of watch this stuff go by him. This is simulated like best we can, like those bags flying by, that doesn't matter. This shouldn't affect you. This shouldn't affect you. Hang in, make your throws. Running back takes a shot, but keeps us alive. That's good pocket. I mean, this here, he makes about every move in the book we do, right? We're hitching up, protect the ball, beanbags in front, beanbags behind, get on the run. I mean, that's not a good play call. That's just really good quarterback play. That's good fundamentals. And that's what we're trying to coach here. I think that's the big thing to take away is you're never going to have the perfect answer in play calling. You're going to have something decent, something good, give us a chance. And our ability as position coaches and as quarterback coaches, you give the guy tools to make these kind of plays. You know, it takes you from being probably an 8-2 team to a 12-0 team. This one is nuts. We're backed up, third and a mile, and they bring some pressures. Gives us a chance. And all this stuff happens when we work those escape drills and that beanbag drill almost every day. This is a title game here. We end up losing this game, but we didn't make this front side B gap escape. We hadn't made this up and out move all year long until week 13. But because we practiced it a bunch, hopefully it came fairly naturally. All right, so that's what I've got for you guys. I have to leave that up here for just a second. That's my contact info. I mean, Twitter is really easy, especially internationally. At Coach Dovey is my handle. You can also shoot me an email, or if you are ever in California, give me a call or come on down. Like, I'd love to talk some football. Love to learn about what you guys are doing. And I certainly don't have all the answers, but we've got stuff that's worked for us so far. And yeah, I appreciate a chance to come on and share with you guys. We went about an hour there. I've got plenty of time if there's more questions or stuff you guys want to talk about.
Hey, Coach, first of all, thank you very much. We've got 18 coaches in the chat. Anyone has other questions?
Maybe just more like a let's say more discussion, because we talked about dropbacks and there was a pretty conservative dropback. What do you think, or can you elaborate a little bit about these open dropbacks that some people tend to do? Like your shoulders not turned, everything's your front to the game, doing all these punch steps back.
Like the old school, like Dan Marino drop, where he's just almost backpedaling. I think there's probably some value in it, just in that if that's what you do, like he's got a full picture of the field where, in the dropbacks that we ask our guys to do, especially if we're on the right hash, seeing the wide side of the field to the left can maybe be a challenge. I think it's got to be what you major in. For us, it's either we're going to make those drops and marry that, our drops bank to every concept that we have. So if you're running a lot of, horizontal field stuff where you've got to be able to see the flat to the left and work your way all the way across, there may be some value in like the pedal drop. I don't know enough about it, frankly, to give a real detailed answer on how I would teach it. But I've seen it work. So, there's definitely some value there, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah. I thought about maybe you have some experience and can share some, like stereotypic quarterbacks who've you experienced who can benefit or profit from this kind of dropback insanely.
Yeah, I think the guy that would do best with it is someone who maybe has a big time arm, but isn't as quick with his feet. Like a Dan Marino type athlete, where if he can make that big time throw, but his feet aren't fast enough to get him into the drop and then reset and open up. If you want to keep him nice and open view-wise, that could help. That might be where I tied in. For us, again, we kind of have the luxury of recruiting. So most of our quarterbacks, and all of them going forward will be, athletic type guys that we use a lot of the run pass option game. So for most of our guys, they're really good at being agile in the pocket and flipping their hips open. But yeah, if you had a bigger guy that can make the throws and make his reads, but maybe it's a little bit stiff, that's where I would maybe explore that.
That makes sense. Thank you for your experience.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is stuff I want. Like these are discussions I want, and again, maybe I'll get some ideas from you guys that's worked for you. What else? What are the biggest issues you guys have with your quarterbacks? What are some challenges maybe you're facing with your guys?
Coach, not with the quarterbacks, but you talked about the Skelly period. I'm a defensive guy, and I don't like Skelly at all because the quarterback is standing there 7 seconds in the pocket and then throwing a pass, and everyone is cheering for that guy. But you're an offensive coordinator too, and was a head coach. What kind of practice organization or types do you like to replace Skelly?
Yeah, I think first of all, Skelly is good work for the defensive backs and linebackers as long as they understand that you're practicing a worst case scenario. Like very rarely do you have to cover for 5 seconds, right? Which you know how it goes in Skelly, especially if the head coach is an offensive guy. It's like 1, 2, like so. As long as they understand that, hey, we're basically practicing something going wrong and working our fundamentals, that can help, and it can help receivers get reps at getting to their depth, making catches in traffic. So that's good. I always prefer to go full team if you have the depth and health to do it. I think we did a good job. We're not allowed to practice in pads until fall camp. So like in spring and summer practices, we run we call 2 or 4 step tempo with the offensive line. So we'll run like team pass, all 11 guys out there, and the defensive line basically will rush 4 steps and shut down. So there's not a lot of contact, and no one's actually in an area where they can hit the quarterback's hand, because that's everybody's nightmare in practice, right? The quarterback, you hit his arm and he breaks his finger or he tears something. But at least you get something in his peripherals, right? Some movement, the idea that like, hey, it's not a perfect view. It's not easy pressure. So anytime you can work the whole team into a period, that's really good. Same thing with the run game. Like inside run is great. 11 on 11 run is better. Especially if you're looking at, like, hey, we've got a 10-minute inside run period where it's, offensive line, tight ends in the backfield. And then we're going to go 11 on 11 run, after, 20 minutes later, and work those receivers block. We had a lot of big plays on our offense because our receivers blocked well downfield. And the only way you get good at that is by practicing it. So as much as you can go 11 on 11, do it. Obviously, you got to protect the QB. Like we don't hit him very often. With a turning starter, we probably won't hit him at all. But we get one of the things that's not on the tape, but when we do our drop progressions, I'll get that agility bag and I'll hit him pretty hard with the bag, away from his arm. So like he'll get shot in the gut pretty good, under control, in a controlled environment.
Yeah, I like that, coach. I like that 11 on 11 more, and try to find different scenarios for the offense, for the defense too.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it more real. As much as you can simulate real football, the better.
Yeah, that's right. We started this year to have a starters period, because we found out that in practice we only go 3-4 reps, maybe 5 reps with our starters, and then we put some backups in, and then we go into the game and have 10, 15 play drives on that. So we try to simulate that too and have only a 10-minute period where the starters will play for 10, 15, maybe 20 plays without.
Yeah, that's a great point. One of the things our head coach does is we start every Tuesday. We play on Saturdays every Tuesday, like our first full padded practice in the in-season periods. We call it fastball, and it's 5 plays as fast as the offense can go. And no matter what happens, they move it 20 yards forward. So it's going to go goal line to goal line regardless. But it forces it, as a head coach, it's a great exercise. It forces the defense to line up, make their checks. It forces everybody to play really fast and simulate okay, things are going great on offense. We got to go. And same thing on defense. Things are going poorly. We have to reset, get lined up, and make the next play. Yeah, that's really good. The more perfect world, you're just playing a game every week. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, you just play a game. Everybody's healthy, and then the Saturday one counts. Obviously, you can't do that, but yeah, that's good, and that's a good idea. 10 play series is helpful.
Yeah. In Corona, during the Corona time, we struggled to set some new stimulus to our players too, and we try to have a fast series in 10 minutes. Try to get as many plays in as we can, so they are a little bit hurry up and a little bit more stressed on the field. That's what we try to do.
Yep. Absolutely.
How do you, from a coordinator perspective, how do you separate the reps between your starter and the backups?
Really depends. Early on in camp, we want to make it a competition, even if we have a returning starter this year. Day one, that reps will be pretty equal. As you get closer to the game, it kind of goes stronger and stronger. Once we're in the actual season, it's probably 80 to 85% of the first offense reps are going with the head coach, going with the starter, and the backups getting, a handful of our core plays in team, through team, and then he'll run the new stuff. We don't have a lot of new stuff each week, maybe 8 new things, little wrinkles, right? A new motion. He'll run that at some point during the week, but not in a competitive period. So either in a walkthrough or in 7-on-7, he'll get, if there's a new pass concept, the starter will get it in 7-on-7 and then team, at least twice in a full speed team setting, where the backup might only see it in 7-on-7. I'd like him to have seen everything, at least done it before, even if it's not a full go situation, because our backup played in 3 or 4 games this year. We got ahead and they earned his way to University of Cincinnati, he started 1 game, but he knew what he was supposed to do because he took good mental reps. I also have him stand with me behind the offense and take the drop, do everything the starter's doing for every play. So even though he's not actually getting the ball, he's at least seeing it sort out at full speed.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That helps him a lot.
Yeah, so you can double the reps, do some mental reps, and going through it slowly. Yeah, I like that idea. When you're standing behind the offensive line and the backup quarterback is next to you, where are the other players standing?
Everybody else on the sideline.
Okay.
Our O-line coach will be out in the middle too. He's watching coaching the front, but everybody else we want to simulate as much as we can, like substitutions and all the stuff that comes with the game day. Like you said, as much as you can practice, it being Saturday, the better.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. And the wide receiver coaches are standing on the sideline?
Yep.
Okay. That's great.
Good.
Yeah, coach. Maybe one thing I'm interested in, when you're going on a very fast pace, do you count the reps you have in maybe 10 minutes or 5 minutes?
Yeah, we do. you know, and are you talking about like a tempo period where we're trying to get as many as we can, or are you talking like, hey,
it's like a tempo period.
Yeah, if we go tempo period, yeah, we do. The goal is to get 8 good reps in 5 minutes, including move the ball, spot the ball, change personnel, whatever else.
Okay.
When Oregon was going really fast, their goal was a rep, 13 seconds between plays. We haven't ever gotten that fast, but we've gotten closer. To be honest with you, we've moved away from tempo a little bit and into some more motion shifting, multiple personnel changes. I think defenses are getting better here at tempo than they are. Like, we're getting guys that call their defense based on how we line up, right, our formation. So even if we're going fast, as soon as he sees you're in trips, he's got his play call. Yeah. But if we can make him make the play call, then motion, make it again, make the defense communicate, I think that's been a little bit more effective for us than the tempo stuff. I used to be a tempo.
Yeah, I think the defense catched up a little bit, and we developed some one-word calls for such high tempo teams, and that makes it a little bit more easy. So we've got maybe 4 or 5 trips checks carried into the game with different calls, and that's
and like, so we will go fast if it's something exotic. Like, we'll go, you know, we'll have one, like you said, one-word calls. Like, we might have 2 or 3 going into a game where, like, hey, if we have a big play, we're going to go really fast and give you quads into the boundary and just run our zone play with the screen. And if we get one, we get you misaligned, we'll throw this, we get some cheap yardage. But I think changing tempos is better than just going fast now, because you kind of catch guys off guard if you change tempo.
Okay. Yeah, got you, coach.
Good. What else? What other any other? We can talk quarterbacks. We can talk philosophy, offense, whatever.
Maybe here. So, thanks, Coach. First of all, for your insight today. Thanks for taking time to talk to us. So, I'm coaching quarterbacks on a big range of ages. So, I'm starting at U17 with quarterbacks, and I'm playing. I'm coaching also on an adult team. So, those guys can be to 30 years old. And I found it very interesting that you said before that you become careful with more age by the players to correct their throwing motions. And this is something that I always find interesting for myself, and I'm always cautious with quarterbacks, so age 21, 22 and beyond, because I have the feeling if I correct too much, they will get more frustrated and the throws will get even worse than before. So I have a big emphasis with the young guys to teach them correct, but your philosophy to coach more feet and brains after a certain age, that was a very good insight, and maybe you can give something further on that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because I started coaching quarterbacks right around when Tim Tebow got drafted. And I remember when he went to the Broncos, like, the talk was always like, if they can just fix his arm, he'll be an all-pro. He'll play for 10 years in the NFL. And they couldn't quite fix it. He had a big U-shaped release where he's winding up long, and they couldn't do it. And ultimately, I think, he was successful at Florida because they played with what he did well. He ran the ball well. He did some of the RPO stuff well, and he could make his reads. But when you start to screw with where he's throwing the ball, I mean, he's thrown it for 18, 19, 20 years a certain way. Like, you can't undo all those reps and try to make him a perfect mechanical quarterback. So for us, it's kind of like if he's got a good enough arm to play for us and win a national championship, great. Everything I do with him then is using his feet. And you can fix a lot of accuracy issues or missed throws by adjusting their feet and weight distribution. If you start screwing around with this stuff and, changing angles and all that, like, you can not only get frustrated, but it's hard. All of a sudden he'll start making worse throws because he's trying to help. He's trying to be coachable, but if it's not natural for him at that point, it's really hard to relearn how to throw. So for us, we can't, if he can't make a throw that we want him to make, we won't recruit him. We'll have to go with somebody else.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for that. So, and one example, I got a 19-year-old quarterback now in training. He tends to oversteps or understeps targets, especially on quick throws, and he compensates with, kind of side arming, a little bit more correction in the upper body. So that is something that you would say with 19, go ahead with him and
well, fix his feet.
Teach him the right way.
Just adjust his feet.
Yeah.
If you can fix the overstriding, the arm will take care of itself.
Okay.
That's where that's a perfect example of what do you as a coach, because you can either mess with his arm, because if you overstride, you have to adjust your arm. Well, if you fix his feet, the arm's going to come naturally. So I would spend most of my time, all of my time actually, with a 19-year-old kid, making sure that stride is appropriate length. He's not overstriding, he's not leaning. That's where if you can fix the stride, the arm will be fine.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. No, these are great questions. This is what I'm here for. This is fun stuff.
I've got one question, if I may.
Yeah.
I heard it before, but this regards what was discussed right away. It's about the high release and the throwing mechanics. Most of the rookie QBs tend to have a struggle with the high release. They tend to play with a sidearm. I've got 1 or 2 drills to coach that, but I would like to hear how you would coach that. And do you coach it at all, or do you work with the feet?
I mean, how old are these kids?
Oh, they are between 16 and 24.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be tough making a lot of changes, especially with the older group. The 15 or 16-year-old, you could probably do a little bit. If I am working with a guy that's got, a sidearm release and he's struggling and he's out here all the time, I don't do it often, to be honest. But when we do talk about that, we're looking to get to where as that coming through, our elbow is above our shoulder, and we're basically running like a tricep extension. So we should be feeling it through here rather than here, if that makes sense. I've called that like the zero slot. Like you're negative down here, you're positive if you're doing something like that. And if you find that spot where it comes through and you're working with your, like a tricep extension, like an overhead tricep extension, I've used that with younger guys, probably younger than 16, to be honest. If you've got an older guy that's side arming and it's hitting where it's supposed to go, I would just say spend most of your time, emphasize, get full extension, get him all the way so he's not releasing it and staying bent or turning over. That's where you're going to get some soreness in the elbow. If he gets full extension, ball spinning off his hand, okay. If the ball gets there, and I wouldn't mess with it at that age.
Okay, that's pretty the same. But the shoulder level should be even, right?
When they're going through their drops, when you kind of think of it like a rocket launcher, right? Like if I'm going straight out, my shoulder's flat. If I'm going to make that deeper bombs away throw, I'm going to maybe angle a little bit higher so the ball's coming out and taking that higher trajectory. But in general, we want our shoulders nice and level. Okay,
thank you. And one more question, more for the OC. If we remember, I would say the old generation of quarterbacks like Brady and Manning, they tend to audible a lot on the field. And the new generation of QBs doesn't do it anymore. It's more, I think it's about the OCs who don't allow it anymore. What's your opinion on this point?
Well, I think it's a good thing to do if they have if they have the ability and the reason to make a check. Where I think it gets tough is that guy's got a lot to do already, right? He's got to make sure we're lined up right. He's got to, for us, if he's checking a protection, you got to check the protection, and then he's got to make the drop, make the read, make the throw. If we're asking him to also change plays, for us, the way we would do it is, for example, like if we're running we call mid zone. We're running a B gap zone play, and they come out in a double eagle front. We got a 3 technique, a nose, and another 3 technique. Some people call it bear. If we've got that front, you're going to check it to outside zone. So that's like giving him the freedom to audible, but only if there's a reason to get away from the first play. I think most guys can handle that, giving guys total freedom. Because most teams are no huddle now, I think it's easier, maybe it's our egos as coordinators, but it's a little bit easier to say, well, I'm on the sideline. I know more than he does, so why would I ask him to check a play if I can just stand there and shout it to him, hey, check, and then get us into something else we want. Let me make that decision, let him play football. So I think that's the two schools. Like you can have him check plays, but it's got to be a reason to get out of the play that you called initially. And if you want to have him if you want a full change, like, hey, we've got inside zone called and I want to check it to 4 verts because we've got, 1 high safety and good leverage. Rather than ask the quarterback to see that, when you see it as a coordinator, change it. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, totally. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good. There's a lot of good ways to do it. I would tell you, if you're going to have him change, just keep it simple, right? You're running this play. If this play is stopped, you're going to go to this play. Other than that, you can see it. You can make your calls from a coordinator perspective, and let the QB just run the machine rather than have to operate it too.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. What else? Anybody else have questions or issues you've come across with the quarterbacks or play calling stuff, whatever?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
You sort of answered it earlier already, in a way. The thing is, I'm coaching young QBs at the moment, like 13, 14.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have a lot of practice time. Like we have 90 minutes twice a week. And I'm sort of wondering, what would be the most effective I could use that time, for
90 minutes twice a week, and then you're playing in the weekend, I take it. So what I would do is really, number one, make sure your offensive menu is small. If you only run, 3 or 4 route concepts, that's great, as long as he knows where to go in each situation, right? If you run, depending on what you do, like 4 verticals, stick, double slants, and maybe one other, a flood concept. If you just run that, keep what you do small on game days relatively small, and then work the fundamentals of those exact throws. So every drill you do, like that rapid fire drill, we'll tell them, all right, we call it hot. We're running hot, and you've got a free access throw to that guy. That's what's happening in this drill. So if you translate those drills to specific play calls, that's really good. And then, if you don't get time to practice something, don't do it on a Saturday, on a game day. And just keep it in the simplest stuff you can. I learned a long time ago when I was a tight ends coach. We had this huge offensive menu. We'd go in with 125 plays, and we were always just okay. And then one week, it was like, gosh, we've only got 40 plays on the menu. We don't have very much at all. It was our best week by far because the kids knew what they were supposed to do and did it fast and did it with confidence. I think that's underrated. From you don't always need a perfect call. You need a good call, and then have the player play well.
Okay, and for QB individual training, what should I focus on? Is it also the footwork you mentioned earlier? Or?
Yeah, I'd go footwork and his reads. You got to simulate. If you only got 90 minutes, if you're going to work your footwork, for example, if you have, I'm just making it up, like a curl and a curl flat concept. You can put 2 guys out there. So for us, we take 3 steps to look at the flat route, and then we hitch to the curl. So you can kind of double dip, right? You can take, all right, we're going to work that drop, and then you're standing behind the quarterback, and you point at the flat guy. The guy standing out there, and he takes his third step and he puts his hands up, that means go ahead and throw it. When he gets to his third step and his hands aren't up, he's going to hitch and throw it to the curl. So as much as you can practice his footwork and then practice him making decisions, that'd be where I'd spend almost all of my individual time. You know, and you can kind of at a certain point, if with the younger kids especially, like, hey, when we're on the run, you know, maybe once a week you get a little on the run throw, but when you're on the run, you got somebody open, go ahead. Otherwise, you know, tuck it and run and live to play another down. You can win a lot of games, you know, just making good reads and letting your guys play fast.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. No, thank you. Great questions.
Coach, you do an amazing job and help us in very different ways. It's great. Yeah, Coach. Coaches, do we have any other questions? Doesn't seem so, Coach. So I can only thank you for all the time and the knowledge you presented to us, and you did really an amazing job and took the time and helped us. Yeah, Coach. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys again. I'll flip this back over so you can see. That's like, if you have questions or stuff that comes up later, like shoot me a message on Twitter. I'm usually pretty quick to get back on those. We do a lot of recruiting through Twitter, so I'm on it quite a bit. I'd be happy to share tape or whatever else you guys need to, you know, keep doing good work, keep spreading this game, keep teaching these guys about being tough and making good decisions and all that. So I appreciate you guys spending the time. And it's a work day and it's after work now. So thank you for spending time with us, and that was fun.
Coach, so thank you very much, and we will stay in contact. And I'm happy that you helped us grow the game over here.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for putting this on. I appreciate it, guys. You guys have a good evening.
Goodbye. Have a nice day.